And we are live for another show of Ftmig on the Midas Network. We've got someone different here today. It is not Carl Boyd, my good sir, Greg. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, man.
For those who do not know Greg, and I bet you do not know him unless you're from our Facebook group, Greg and I have been investing with each other for quite some time, probably about a year and a half almost now.
I'd say so. I got in about last April.
Yeah, last
when
April.
You told me to.
You had never invested in almost anything. I think you had a couple like oil stocks or something. And then you met this crazy person who kept talking about cannabis.
Yeah.
And I remember one day you looked at me and you're like, here, I made some orders. I'm like, I didn't tell you to put that much in. But it's worked out really, really well. And it's a really cool success story. I love it.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride, that's for sure. It started with just overhearing what you had to talk about with the cannabis industry, how it's going to blow up, how it pretty much has and still will. Yeah. You know, we're in the beginning stages, so it's been pretty cool. So from our last interview that we did with CTV to this,
our CBC,
CBC, that's it.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while, and I remember that because like we were hammering. I kept telling everybody that I was working with or friends and family, like Aurora at $2, Aurora at $2. I was telling people Canopy at $2, but Aurora 2, and then you finally went into it, and then that summer hit, and it just crashed.
Oh,
and
man.
you were like wanting to fight me for a little while, but I just convinced you like I truly don't think you should sell because I see this, and you agreed with me. And now look what it's turned into.
Oh, and that's huge, right? Like, and that's exactly what it was. Like, it was like, I just want to get out. Like, should I get out? Should I get out? I was down almost 80% of my portfolio.
I know, it was a bad,
that was
a bad break.
That was horrible. I didn't, nobody likes
Welcome
that.
to the cannabis industry.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? You convinced me to stay, and it just completely turned around. I went from 80% down to almost 10 baggers, so it's been interesting, that's for sure. And being in early obviously helps too, but there's still money to be made, you know, and that's what we look for. And having the community that we do, it helps out even more with everything.
And that's the big emphasis, and that's why I think it's really, really cool that you did not know anything about investing beforehand.
I didn't know what a bid was. I didn't know what an ask was.
Nothing. L2. What's L2? What's L1?
Now I'm yelling at everybody. Slap the ask.
80% of the people are laughing. The other 20% are like, "What did he just say?"
Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting in that you know that's what I've loved about the community, about our Follow the Money investor group, because it's people like yourself where. In no means have I ever even thought that you were not a smart person, didn't understand it. You just had never been shown it before.
Well, and that's it.
So you can learn that way. And now you're one of the main people for all those people who go to ftmig.com and get all those news releases that come out. You wake up at 5 o'clock every single morning getting those news, sometimes like 30 a day.
I get my 5 hours of sleep and I'm good to go.
And then straight into news releases and all that. And now, I'd argue you're one of the more knowledgeable people in the cannabis industry when it comes, especially to
reading all those news
companies.
Releases, you kind of just pick up on things, right? Yeah. So it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it's been a ride. It's been a ride. One thing we forgot to say, we've got some guests today as well. We're going to be having Michael Garbuz. He is the founder and CEO of Vision Advisory. Really interesting conversation I had with him. We've got Tyler Robson, CEO of Valens Grow Works. That's a nice short clip there. We're going to be having that for you as well. We've got Graham Farrell. I know a lot of people watching are very familiar with the Don Cherry of cannabis. The Don Cherry of
That's
IR.
Phenomenal.
We've got people calling him grapes now in the different Facebook groups because of his suits he's always wearing.
Oh, that's amazing.
So one of the best dressed IR guys in the business, but from Wayland Group, he's speaking about why that changed, how that changed, because obviously it used to be formerly known as Maricann, so we'll be having him coming on as well. And we also have Cody Corrubia of Weekend Unlimited. That was another really interesting talk as well. So stay tuned for those as they come up throughout the show, and we can learn from people who are
They've been in this
they're in the,
long
they're
time
in the
too.
thick of things, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For yourself, how's your portfolio going lately? You've had a few rockets that I have missed.
Not too bad. Well, you've missed, but you've been in them.
Yeah.
Just not
I just don't have
as
the patience
patient.
of you. Yeah.
Sometimes I just forget about them, and then I go back in and I'm like, oh hey.
I know. What's your Namaste? What were your earliest shares in Namaste?
So I got in at Namaste at 24 cents.
24 cents.
They took a bit of a hit right now, just throwing out that new
the financing, right?
Yeah, they're doing that debt deal and whatever. So it's it's at 45 million that they want to raise. Yeah. So that's at 3 and 350 warrants. So
it's not bad.
It's not bad.
I still think something just flew in my face as we're doing that. It's not bad. But a lot of people, who else? There were 3 other finances that just came out. I know Canada House Wellness, they're doing the financing as well.
Invictus just did one. They're doing one for 20 million. So
yeah, and then there's one more as well. Invictus, Canada House Wellness, Namaste, and I saw another one just recently. It just came out.
GTI?
Are they doing
GBB?
Green Gold Brands, I know they just finished their private placement. That was oversubscribed.
Yeah.
Interesting American cannabis company. I know we introduced them to our group.
They have some good backing
a little while ago.
Sure.
Some people in our group have been in them for quite some time, but they're just coming to our...
But that's the thing, like I go on here, I have no idea who that is, but I go on here and there's all the DD and that people have done, like you try to put in your own in. And
it's American plays. If you start looking at something, because they have legal states already. They're already selling recreation, not just flower and oil like we're going to be selling. They're selling edibles and drinks and all these different aspects. That's going to be a massive market, and we're not paying attention to it yet.
Oh God, no! And what they're doing with the states too, and just doing with like what they're doing at the border and stuff like that. It's just nonsense. There's no point of it. There's no need for it. Like it's only a matter of time before they legalize. Like there's so many states that are doing it. So why not just get on board?
No,
come on.
It doesn't make sense. Although I'm just hearing as well, this is showbiz. We always have these fun things. I'm sharing. Apparently, I'm going to be very famous.
You are.
Because our Facebook live stream went from my personal Facebook and not our FTMIG Live Facebook. So we'll see how that works out in a bit.
No
we like to have fun here. That's what we try to do.
Your personal Facebook.
Yeah. People are like, well,
do you have more friends than...
No, I don't know. Actually, from the Facebook Live, maybe I've actually. So it's pretty funny. But we'll figure out one way or another. But no, it's interesting. I love all these different aspects that are coming up for this. But something that was really important actually to pay attention to was the Farm Bill. The American Farm Bill, we're talking about the U.S. states. Yeah. That just got delayed. I haven't fully read into it yet, but something is wrong with that.
And like I've been looking, and they haven't hurt the companies that are in them, like Crop and Hempco and stuff like that. Like they haven't been hurting them today, anyways. Like I know. So yeah, well, Crop went down a bit yesterday, but today it's okay. But I'm kind of surprised that news like that doesn't hurt them. So what's the delay?
It's politics through and through, right?
100%.
We already know how disruptive hemp is going to be on so many different markets. If you want to take a history lesson, there's a very good reason that hemp is illegal, and it's not because it's a Schedule II drug. Hemp was piled in when they had reefer madness back in the 20s or 30s, and they were basically making cannabis illegal overnight all across the Western civilization, but specifically in the United States. Hemp used to be where it was illegal not to have 10% of your crops as a farmer in the United States, especially the southern states. It was illegal not to have at least 10% of your crop in hemp.
No way.
Because they used it for ropes, they used it for sales.
They use it for everything. So there's a guy in our chat that can use it for his house.
Yeah.
He built his house out of it.
I won't see his name. I want to see it. The entire house is made of hempcrete.
The pictures look great. They look like a normal house.
Overnight, that hemp was put in with cannabis and with marijuana that you smoke, obviously, THC, and that was put in and it all went illegal. Well, I would not be surprised that these farmers are still fighting back, whether it be the cotton industry, whether it be oil. I'm not going to speculate too much because I really don't know for certain, but I do know there is no reason why hemp should be a Schedule II drug in Canada either. It's still in Canada. We still got to figure that out. There's no reason it should be a Schedule II drug because there are no addictive properties to it, and it has plenty of health benefits. When usually, I know Schedule I, which cannabis is currently under in the United States, says that it's highly addictive and that it has no known medical benefits. I don't know what I'm missing here.
Yeah.
Because cannabis is not a Schedule I and hemp is not a Schedule II. No. But I think it's, I don't know American politics too well. I'm not following it too closely, so I don't want to speak too ignorantly on the fact, but just in general, I can guarantee that it is just people trying to push back one last time. before it didn't have
well,
the ability.
I can see that. Like, who knows if there's going to be a pullback after October 17th too? You know what I mean? Like people doing like a sell-off of what happens. But I don't think there's going to be. I think we're going to be underwhelmed. I think come that time, but you never know. Like, especially in Ontario, you know, being like now our recreational isn't until. What is it, April 1st?
Yeah, recreational stores.
Online, yes, you can do, but at least they're keeping it privatized, and you can.
Yeah, it's not like 2 stores for half of Ontario.
Oh my God, 80 stores for all of Ontario. 2 years, like come on.
There's a reason.
There's 55 dispensaries in Hamilton alone. Like that would have been ridiculous.
It was a very foolish play, and I'm sorry. There's a reason why. Unfortunately, this time around, the Liberals had 8 seats after that election because for whatever reason they just weren't getting things done properly, and the people have spoken for that.
100%.
But no, it'll be really, really interesting seeing those come online because. Actually, this is a perfect segue into my talk with Michael.
Go on.
Because our talk with Michael was specifically talking about, what do we expect August 17th? And, and he has come from a background of cannabis law. He worked for Canada Royalty for quite some time.
Nice.
Canada Royalty is a great company out in the States, listed on the CSE, CRZ, I think. And he's recently, about a month ago, has ventured off on his own to form his own company. And we've talked about a lot of good things. I hope we have more podcasts with him because I loved it. I was looking at the time. I'm like, I can only go so long on these. But I'd love to talk to him.
I hate saying goodbye, and then the next one comes through, and you got to get going.
The information that he has, and just being able to talk about that, I love it because it helps the foresight of what this industry might be and where we're going. So why don't we cue that up right now in our studio, and we're going to go straight to Michael and see what we were talking about just a little short while ago. And we are here with Michael Garbuz, CEO and founder of Vision Advisory. Welcome to the show.
Awesome, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was short notice, so I appreciate it because we want to talk about a bunch of different aspects that you focus on. And a lot of that is legalization and what's coming up, products throughout the United States, merger and acquisitions. Like you're in quite a few things over at Vision Advisory. Can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Yeah, for sure. So Vision Advisory actually started less than a month ago, so really just getting started right now, but working with companies across the global cannabis industry on different initiatives throughout the life cycle of a business. So early stage businesses, developing business plans and go-to-market strategies, mid-stage businesses, potentially raising bigger amounts of capital, looking to go public, things like that. And then of course to the later stage of a business, sell-side mandates and really the end of the business life cycle. Been working in the cannabis industry now for 3 years in various legal and business roles, M&A roles, corporate law roles, and looking to leverage that with Vision Advisory.
Nice. I was going to say, you said that you've been in Vision Advisory for a month, but you spent a lot of time in the industry, and you've done a lot in that industry so far. But one of the reasons why we brought you on here is because we had a phone call earlier, and we were talking about what's going to happen October 17th from investors. And so many people you talk to, almost every single person has a different answer. It's going to be a huge sell the news. It's going to crash. No, it's going to be amazing because banks can now put their money in it. What's going to happen? Well, what's your hypothesis?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, especially we're sitting in a studio in Toronto right now, I think, and maybe this isn't the answer that your viewers might want to hear, but it's going to be a little bit underwhelming, I think, October 17th. We're not going to have any retail stores set up yet in Toronto, the biggest metropolitan city in all of Canada. And really, like, a lot of the branding, marketing, products, like I don't think close to where this industry is going to be when it becomes mature. So it's great that obviously adult use is going to be coming on. You can go now onto a website legally and purchase cannabis products in terms of dried herb and oils. But I think it's just stage one of a lot more milestones that are to come in the Canadian cannabis industry. Obviously, people are now looking out till April, where every day I'm sure you're hearing of new retail plans of different either existing cannabis companies or new entrants looking to play on the retail game. And then of course products. Like if you look, a lot of my time's been spent down in the US, especially in California. Consumers, dried herb, especially premium dry herb, is definitely still an interesting product category, but there's a lot more product categories that people are after. Things like vape pens, edibles, drinkables, patches, cream, sublinguals. So as those products start to be introduced into the Canadian program, I think it's going to get increasingly exciting from a consumer and investor perspective.
Well, yeah, and you hit that's exactly the way that we should be looking at it, because you're right. We don't have retail. It's only going to be online in Ontario for the rest of the year. And then we look at the fact that we're not going to have edibles, and we're not going to have, we're just going to have flour and oils. We're not even close to where this is going to be. So from an investing standpoint, I've asked myself, is it going to be sell the news? I think there's going to be a portion of it that will be. It's because you're leading up to it, and then now you have to wait.
Yeah.
Because the next catalyst will be months from now. Now you have to start looking at earnings, and I think it's a year. Correct me if I'm wrong. They said they would allow a year before they bring up the notion of possibly edibles in Canada. I think that was part of Bill C-45.
Yeah, the regulations contemplated including edibles and what are termed concentrates within 1 year. That was what they had as the outside date. So the way that I think most people are looking at it is that different product categories will probably be introduced throughout the year, and potentially the tail could be quite a bit longer. I think Health Canada has taken a go slow approach with this industry for a long time, which it can be frustrating sometimes from a business perspective, but from an overall policy perspective, I think it's allowed the government to achieve a lot of its stated objectives. So it's kind of a little bit of push and pull there. But I think things like, creams, patches, sublinguals, these are things that are arguably a lot less harmful to consumers than something like dried herb, where people are combusting and smoking. So I think really Health Canada just needs to get its hands around how this can be manufactured compliantly, what dosages are appropriate, what child protection is appropriate, delivery methods are appropriate, and I think we'll start to see more and more products being introduced. Obviously, I think vape pens are something that, it's an extremely interesting product category, because you see it just taking more and more of market share, especially in places like California, like I mentioned. So it's a little bit of a trickier one to regulate, so I think that's one that a lot of people are watching closely. And then, of course, with all these beverage deals, people...
It's going to be big.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Like, right now in the US, beverages make up like a small percentage. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I thought it would have been more, because they're allowing it.
Yeah,
I thought it would have been more.
It's allowed. No one's really hit the nail on the head yet with like a perfect beverage product that's perfectly dosed, flavor's perfect, not going to degrade in temperature, heat, and just like overall packaging, consumer experience really hitting the mark. And part of that is because, Canadian players as opposed to US players, we actually have like a lot more scale and ability to do things at scale, a lot more, just economically and with just better quality. That's what we've seen in terms of producing like medical grade cannabis. Might not be the best quality experience from like a THC, CBD, recreational perspective, but definitely in terms of like compliance. So I think in terms of like beverages, it might be interesting to see what happens in Canada, but it's definitely not. I think people get the wrong idea that it's already a massive product category. I think we're embarking on new territory with beverages, and even with edibles. Like, I think a lot of people, especially in Canada, think about edibles. They're thinking about the brownies that people made 20 years ago. In these mature US states, you're dealing with edibles that are generation 2, generation 3 products. You're not really using, can of butter or anything like that. It's really just distillate with no taste. And it's pretty consistent in terms of like experience and dosage. So it'll be interesting, because I think it will go far beyond brownies. I've seen people say that 10 to 15% of all of our food will have some type of cannabinoid. So it'll be interesting to watch, no doubt.
Well, absolutely, and you had a few points there. I'll go back on a couple of them, but one of them is the drink parts and the cannabinoids that are in there. Vita, a company on the States, they've got, that's what I've been looking at, not necessarily from a stock perspective, although I'm sure it's great stock to invest long term. I haven't looked at it recently. But what I really liked about it is that they teamed up with WeedMD. And their CEO was the ex-president of Red Bull Canada, and also their marketing guy was the ex-Canadian marketer for Red Bull Canada as well. So you're talking about people who are used to bringing a product and just making it completely widestream, or mainstream, sorry. But what's interesting about that is that there is no THC in those products, or very, very, very minimal. And the amount of surveys that are going out and research that are looking into gut rot. I've mentioned this a couple times on our show, gut rot and colitis and things like that, where they're showing that high CBD counts actually help combat that and actually help produce good bacteria in your stomach. If we can have like Health Canada or something like that come out and say, yes, this actually is a really good supplement to be taking, do you think then that changes that focus? So maybe it's not THC drinks, but now it's, like you said, it's wellness drinks. Do you think that's going to be a big component of this? or too early to tell?
Yeah, the way that I look at the pharma medical side of cannabis is probably a little bit different than a lot of people that you have on the show. I have a biomedical science background. I'm used to, in pharma, you have a delivery method that is first pinpointed, and then you do full lab testing, animal testing, human testing, double-blind, control studies, and then at the end of that process where hundreds of millions of dollars have been spent and probably years of time, you finally have a product that consumers or humans can actually take medicinally. Cannabis kind of flips that on its head because we're actually taking these products and humans are already consuming them, and we're sort of working backwards and this way to be able to figure out like something like colitis, which I have a lot of friends who've been affected by it, and they actually have had sort of like anecdotally good experiences. To answer your question specifically though, I think those types of products, whether we find out through like true medical pharma type of studies, or we're working backwards and seeing like which strains and which products are working, or a combination of the two, I think the delivery method that's ultimately going to be delivered in is going to be something that we're more used to in a medical setting. And by we, I mean the patient, as well as like a doctor and a pharmacist. So something like a pill or a patch or some sort of like sublingual type of product, I think that's what we'll see sort of how we deliver true medical cannabinoids as part of treatment. In terms of beverages generally, I think I'm very excited about beverages. Like I didn't mean to be sort of down on them. I think people are generally excited about cannabis in terms of like dried herb because we already know that's like a $7 to $9 billion market in Canada where those consumers already exist. They already like that product for sure, and we're just converting illegal sales to legal sales. Beverages become more interesting because it's like it's almost like a new spin-off of the industry because consumers don't necessarily know about that product yet. They haven't necessarily tried it yet, and it's almost like creating a new product category. So I think there's a lot of things that are working for beverages because one, it's something that's a lot less intrusive than like smoking a joint or even a vape pen, where I don't think long term we're going to be able to do that, let's say outside or even in a bar or like an establishment legally, just because that's kind of where smoking's going generally. Edibles are interesting, but not everyone sometimes you want to consume food and sometimes you don't want to consume food. Beverages on the other hand, like we're used to consuming intoxicating substances through beverages. It's just sort of like a normal human interaction, and that social interaction is already pretty ingrained. So I do think that if you know, different producers or companies come out with products that really hit the mark in terms of flavor and effects and consistency and you know, it's actually quite complicated to make a cannabis beverage, but they do it properly. I think it could become a massive part of the market for sure. Well,
yeah, and almost those exact same words. I remember hearing Bruce Linton went to a luncheon last year where he was speaking at, and obviously he's got Constellation's deal, and there's a reason why he's so excited about it, but it's a good point. You know, we're used to grabbing a beer or grabbing even a glass of water, a coffee. Like we're used to just drinking. So if you're able to have that where instead of going for a few beers, you're able to have a couple THC drinks. You know, one gets you a little bit buzzed, two gets you, and you can start almost having the same effects as you go on, opposed to sometimes with some of these edibles from Grey Market where, you know, you can have the smallest little bit of it and all of a sudden you're stuck to your couch and you can't move anymore. I'm sure that is going to be a thing of the past because it's going to be really regulated, but it's really interesting to see that though, because our mentality is that we're used to drinking. So it would be really interesting to see if that's the way that cannabis consumption goes, but like you're saying, it's so unknown.
I think it's the social experience. Like, you know, I can tell you that you could have a great experience taking a pill, but I don't think, you know, if there's a social aspect of people, and people obviously do use different types of drug intoxicants that would be in a pill form, but I think something about like the social act of drinking is sort of like we're all accustomed to. And then the second piece would really be like competing with alcohol head on. So you're now delivering a product where people are at a party or people are buying a product for a cottage, and you're trying to educate a new consumer who might not be you know, a cannabis consumer, but they might be canna curious, and all of a sudden you have a product that looks and feels a lot like what's intoxicating to them normally, but as someone like Bruce, I've heard him also say a bunch of times, this is something that's no calories, no hangover or limited hangover, and then, you know, alcohol has throughout our whole body, whether it's liver, brain, skin, like kidneys. Like there's so many known links in terms of disease onset. So cannabis, obviously, it's right now in terms of the R&D and studying, like has been said, or almost ad nauseum in the industry, like it's basically innocuous when you're comparing it to alcohol. Like there's obviously, innocuous is actually probably the wrong word, like there are some limited health effects, but when you compare it to alcohol, the effects are a lot more minimal. So when it starts competing directly with alcohol in the same delivery method, I think that's when things get pretty interesting. I
think it'll be very interesting, because you see it all the time. How many deaths in the year from peanuts, from alcohol, from opioids? And you see how many deaths were from cannabis. And it says 0. I'm sure something, somehow, way would have been connected to it. Who knows? But the difference is just like night and day.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's like you said, it takes a toll on your body. And it's not to say that, you know, everything in moderation. If you take a lot of cannabis, a lot of THC, you know, I'm sure it can affect you just like if you take a lot of anything. Sometimes you can overdose off of vitamins. If you take too much vitamin A or vitamin B, it's not good for you to have that much. So all moderation, but it will be interesting when they're very similar. You're given that choice, and one is known to have all these negative effects, while the other one, at least for right now, does not have those effects, or dramatically less. I think that's where it's going to really, really take off. And going back from where we first started, you know, coming into recreation in Canada, that's not going to be this year. It could be parts of next year, but where I really am excited about this is that as much as some of these stocks might have matured, if you want to use that term from economics, I don't still think that's the case. This industry is still very much in its infancy. You could almost argue it might have just gotten to its growth stage. If I had someone try to say, oh yeah, no, the industry's already mature. I'm like, how is it already mature? There's still market share being created everywhere. There isn't mass acquisitions. There's some. That's signs of the growth phase of economics. But we're in the infancy stage. That's my opinion. Because we're still research and development is the major part of this industry. It's still, like, you know, the sky's the limit.
I don't even think it's just an objective fact. I get a bit frustrated with, like, I totally agree with you. The game hasn't even started in Canada, right? Like, all of the not all of, but a huge part of the market capitalization of these companies, what's being baked in, obviously it's the numbers, but it's an ability to effectively execute an adult use strategy. Adult use sales haven't started yet, whether online, in retail, and that's not even considering that, you know, the products that we're talking about, the branding, marketing, actually getting distribution to your consumers. Let's assume that those changes aren't even coming. Even just selling the products that exist now to recreational consumers and having someone go onto a store shelf and pick something up. You have to remember, every sale that's ever happened to date with a Canadian licensed producer starts in a doctor's office. So while, you know, some companies have been able to effectively, you know, gain clients or gain customers or patients through, you know, all sorts of different ways, gaining customers in a recreational market is a totally different game. And one thing I can tell you for sure, in the medical space, you're basically locked into one licensed producer, and there's ways to change, but it's not sort of seamless. In a recreational market, someone's going to go to a store, they're going to buy bud because, you know, they heard about it, or their friend said it's cool, or they like the packaging, or the bud tender told them to buy it, or whatever other reason they're attracted to it. If they like that product, it might be something they buy over and over again. If they don't like that product,
they're done.
They're never going to use it again. So if you have product on the shelf that's, whether from a product quality or a branding standpoint or distribution standpoint, isn't really hitting the mark with consumers, it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 square feet of greenhouse or 1 million square feet or 10 million square feet, because the retailer is not going to be selling the product that a consumer doesn't want to buy, and the retailer is not going to be buying it from you as a manufacturer anymore. So I think we'll start to see as recreational really unfolds, and you can't, you know, buy patients or collect patients on the medical side, and you really have to go out there and earn your customer. You're going to see a lot more focus on that customer experience, the product that's actually going in, and just that whole relationship and brand promise that you make with your consumers.
It's a really good point, actually. Really good point. We do have to cut it short here, as we've got a bunch of different things on the show for this afternoon, but we got to have you on again, because I already have like 4 different questions I want to ask you and keep the tandem going, because I love talking about it. I've been absolutely consumed by this industry for years now, as I think it's when it comes from just you know, personal roots when I was younger, not so much anymore, but that's just personal preference. But economically speaking, I mean, that's what I studied in school. We're not going to see something like this again for a long time. We're about to turn over so many different industries. When you start talking about hemp and start going into all those areas as well, dozens and dozens of industries are going to be turned upside down, and we've just started. So I'm glad you agree with me. Infancy stage. There's no way we've matured.
Yeah.
But we got to have you on again real soon. We'll keep these topics going, and I'd love to have you on again in the near future.
Awesome. Thanks,
Well,
Brad.
I appreciate it very much.
That's fun.
And enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome.
And we are back. I got someone who looks a little bit different this time. Carl, how you doing?
What's going on? Yeah.
Your chair keeps messing with you.
I
am
don't like
not
this chair,
taller
man.
than Carl.
I don't like
I am
this
not.
Well, there's a beam over here that people can't see, so it's
Yeah.
awkward for me. If you see me leaning back, it's because it's more comfortable.
Yeah. So welcome back to the show. Or
Yeah.
welcome to the show. We had Greg going on. How do you do?
Greg was great. Good-looking guy.
Yeah. I think he's got it's the beard. He's got a beautiful beard.
The beard is
It
weird.
just works. But
Yeah,
no,
he's cool.
I love that story because I've met a lot of people investing over the last few years, and so many of them just keep wanting you to tell them something. You know, it's such a cliche, but you know, you can give someone a fish or you can teach them how to fish. And I hate when people are like, oh, what do you think about the stock? What do you think about the stock? And then 2 weeks later, like, oh, you told me about that stock and it went down. I'm like, yeah, because it's 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
An hour can change my opinion of a stock depending on what comes out. But no, it's cool. He really got involved in our groups. He actually hates Facebook and only got Facebook just to be in our Facebook chat rooms. We used to have him on Facebook. Now they're on Discord. And it's just interesting.
I like friends like that.
I like when people can actually learn and grow, and now he's taking control of his finances, which is, he's doing better than I am. He's
No, Greg's a good
fantastic at it.
guy. He's very helpful behind the scenes with Follow the Money and our Facebook group.
Absolutely.
And he
is.
puts the work in. And he's a good guy. I like working with good people.
Absolutely. Speaking of good people and speaking of good guys, Michael coming on the show. That's a smart guy. I enjoyed that conversation. I want to have more of them because I like when people are thinking outside the box. They're not, trapped by today's share prices, and that's how they're judging the cannabis sector. I was just having a talk actually in between that video that just went up with him, and it's amazing how many people, and I said it on there as well, that say the sector's matured. Cannabis stocks are matured. Trust me, after October 7th, it's done. After January, it's done. Are you kidding me? Like, they haven't even gotten out of the infancy stage. Canada is the only one who's going to legalize and it hasn't even started yet. You're telling me that we're in the mature stage? Go to economics school. Go to school, take an economics class, learn what infancy, growth, and mature stages are.
So here's something interesting. What bank just stepped in to back Canopy?
Canopy, was it TD or BMO? BMO.
Right. So who else has done anything? Like a CIBC?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen October 17th?
The banks are coming in.
And what are they going to do?
They're going to spend some money.
Yeah, it's going to get more competitive. I was just speaking like
Yeah.
literally 10 minutes ago with a broker friend of mine, and we were talking about how that space is going to get more competitive because these banks are probably going to jump in and start backing some of these Canadian cannabis companies. So, I'm expecting some big deals to be made, and basically, here's some money, go play.
Yeah.
And
Seriously.
you're probably going to see some big valuations. So I think that, this is not advice. Just two speculators talking. I think that we're not done yet. I think that the big blow-off top type boom is still coming.
Is yet to come.
Yeah, it's still coming. But hey, it might not. Who knows, right? That's just what I see coming. The big banks are going to step in and back some of these guys.
Absolutely, they are. Big banks are going to step in. I've long said this since sometime last year. Pharmaceutical companies will be coming in, and they pay that extra money for certainty. They want it to be legal, and they want to find out who's going to be the winners, and they'll buy it. They don't care if they're paying a premium. They want certainty.
It's a big market.
They haven't even come in.
Yeah, it's a huge market. It's a big market globally, right? So there's still a lot of meat on the bone there. But the American market, the cannabis, on the cannabis front, I think we got to start looking there.
Yeah, and we've actually said this for a few weeks now, and not a few weeks, but a few weeks on this actual show. American cannabis and hemp are going to be massive, and you really need to start doing due diligence on certain companies and finding out, which ones are putting in the right framework, because there are companies out in the States that are in legal states, multiple legal states, some of them, and they have millions of dollars in revenue. And they're full-blown recreation, and yet their market caps are abysmal compared to the likes of, say, Canopy, Aurora, or whatever it be. it's amazing how much value you could probably find in American cannabis. There's the legal thing still. You got to get past the whole, it's illegal federally. That's going to be an issue.
Yeah, but
now is almost the time.
Well, it's difficult to say that, right? But there's a risk involved, and that's why the reward could be big.
Yeah.
But it's a speculation thing, right? So.
Have you begun looking at any specific American companies?
You know what? I would love to actually do a whole segment, like a weekly segment on American cannabis companies, because I think there's so many out there. And what's fun from my perspective is we get to kind of do this all over again. I can dig my teeth into these companies like I did, over the last 2 years and do it in another market. So to answer your question, I really just have been starting to look into Juju, which is probably because James is talking about it quite a bit. Canada Royalty, I know, a decent amount of it, but no, I still really want to get people on and talk to them and see what's going on and what companies we should be looking into.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been a couple that, like myself personally, one was BAM, BAM, Body and Mind. And we were talking about it in our break there. They have no liquidity to their stock right now, let's be honest here. No one's buying, no one's selling. But if you look at them, they're in Nevada and they have legal sales going on right now. Nevada's got like 58 million visitors a year and a fully recommended. We're not talking to just cannabis like for smoking flower. We're talking about sugary drinks, the gummies, like everything. It's Vegas. And they're there right now making revenue. They also have a license in Ohio. And the Ohio license as well is a big deal because those are quite rare. They were smarter than, say, Colorado and Washington, where Colorado and Washington just gave away too many licenses, and that's why they had such a, the prices of cannabis came down so much because there's way too much supply. Ohio did it differently, so having that as well. And what's their market cap? I don't know what their market cap is recently. It last time I checked, it was like $20 million or something. Mm-hmm. How, when you're putting a comparison?
Right, which...
You need to trade first, though. They need to fix that area of it. But no, it's just interesting to see the amount of difference between the cannabis companies in Canada and the United States. There's still differences, though.
Well, there has to be.
I still think Canadian companies are superior simply because it's going to be legal and we can export everywhere else. You cannot overlook that. But if you're looking at something that's like $20 million and doing $5–10 million a year in sales, that's not bad of a price-earning ratio, and that could be a very good thing to start looking into.
Yeah, if you're willing to take that risk. I'm hearing that there's more and more people looking down south, right? So that's good.
Well, let's see what the people are saying here. 1933 is a bad year, though. I don't know what that is.
We should ask them why.
They're telling us some stuff here.
Let's ask them why they went with that name. Does anyone know?
I don't know. Does anyone? You're watching right now. I won't say names on air, but there's people in here in the chat that are saying TGIF became 1933 Industries. Why? I'm not gonna, whatever. People change their names, but I liked TGIF. But there's reasons for that, for why those are out there, and people sometimes just want a change in brand. But anyway, I just saw that post up there. I'm like, oh yeah.
I really hate this chair.
Do you?
I fucking hate this chair.
MPX Bioceuticals, absolutely. I remember Alan Brockstein first put me on to them beginning of the year or so, and this is another reason why you should really find a community and be a part of them, and just talk to other investors, because investors on Stockhouse, on different areas, they were able...
Did you just mention Stockhouse?
I did, because if you can sift through it, there are some crazy people who are like very intelligent who actually still use it. There's a lot of bad people too. Got to sift through there. But to my point,
a lot of garbage.
But you find out that it was at 40 cents, and there were people. There was one big shareholder who was just liquidating his holdings for whatever reason, moving it to another period. I don't know, liquidating it. And I don't know if you got in there, but I know I went in for 40 cents. I went in pretty hard actually, because I knew why there was so much pressure on that stock. Sure enough, he stopped selling his stuff, ran to 80–90 cents, made a quick double.
So he's holding it down.
You gotta look for those things.
Well, maybe if you got into an early financing or you're selling for a financing.
I'm sure it must have been. It was a huge liquidation. But no, MPX is great. Stockhouse is not key to that person who just wrote that. But you can find some stuff on there from time to time. It's kind of like going through a garbage with like, you gotta put like a face mask on, you've gotta get gloves that go up to your elbow, some tongs, and if you really sift through the garbage, you'll find a gem in there.
Yeah, it's just too much work, man. You know what I'm liking right now is Canada House, CHV.
CHV.
I want to get them on our show. I want to talk to them.
Yep, we've been. Let's get them on. Let's get them on. If you're listening right now,
I know some of our members want us to talk to them. They've had a decent run here. They broke out.
What are they at right now?
I think from a TA perspective, you were looking at 22.5 cents as a breakout, and it's sitting around 34.5. High of the day, it hit 45.
I don't know if they've got my computer, but if you're able to grab my computer and throw it up on the screen here, I can show CHV.
25 million shares traded.
They hit 45 cents today. Wow.
Yep.
We'll see if they can throw it up there. It was a massive breakout.
We might be seeing the volumes and some nice movement in the juniors. I've been talking about this for a month now, but we might really be seeing that.
Well, because people have made their money in the other areas. Now they're slowly de-risking, or not de-risking, but like taking profits and going, oh, here we go.
Are you going to get up again? And
I won't get up this time. I won't get up. I'm going to point. Because if you can see this, or if we can go to just this screen for a second, you'll see, look at that volume spike.
Well, listen, maybe I should get up here. This is a really good, this is a long consolidation period here.
Huge.
So from a TA perspective, you're looking at 22.5 cents, I'm pretty sure. That's your indicator there.
And it broke through
all this is just, I mean, it's just sitting here doing nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, what's going on? I remember a lot of people in our chat rooms would, get frustrated at that point, right?
Yeah. And I held them for a long time as well. But you see it break through the Bollinger Bands there. Huge, huge volume. What is that? Like 18 million? I'm just looking off of what that might look like. And then the next day, just absolutely exploded. Blast off. It's come back a little bit, but that's a huge
I think the traders love this type of chart because it's easy to see that it's breaking out.
Yep.
That is a very uneducated opinion.
Yeah. But no, it's great seeing that. And, they've been doing a lot of things. They have a new CEO the last few weeks, I think, or no, months now.
We got to get them on. We got to get them on here.
Get them to tell their story?
Yeah, I don't want to tell their story. I don't know much about it. That's the problem.
We need to know more about it.
Yeah, but there are some things that I like about them. The veterans program that they have. The
government, I still got my screen up here. I got names on there. Sorry about that.
Not ideal.
Go back to there.
Mr. Brandon. Maybe I should take this mic.
But no kidding. But no, you've got to start looking for those aspects, and that's why if you can find a good play that's early on, because they're still out there. They're still out there. If you can find a play early on.
Well, that's good advice, Brandon. Find a good play early on.
That's a great advice, actually. I'm going to write that on a napkin and put it in someone at the bar later.
I had a pretty good rant in my Facebook Live yesterday in our private Facebook group.
Yep.
Private.
Yeah, you went off. It was off the record. Carl Boyd.
I lost my poo.
That's not off the record. That's on the record.
Yeah.
You're allowed saying shit here.
Yeah.
Apparently we're allowed swearing. I don't usually.
James has been dropping some F-bombs.
He's been dropping some emphatic.
Probably getting annoyed with the technology.
Yeah. One thing after the other, yeah. Technology is a bitch sometimes.
So people that don't know, we have our Facebook group, Follow the Money Investors Group. And it is private. It's not an open group. We're now over 3,000 members. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not that I really care about that, but it's cool.
Oh, you had a good rant and just going over,
the Garibaldi.
Garibaldi was definitely the huge, but I think there's an underlying message there of why are you trading stocks, especially high volatility stocks, if you're not going to put the work in to stay on top of it.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my points. Yeah.
I just put it.
No, it was.
Nicer words.
It was one of my points. Yeah, it's just I think, that herd mentality, like. There could be a week or two where you hear of a certain name of a stock and it's just like it's right there in your brain, and then you see people like, yeah, it's moved, and then people buy it and they don't really know what they have. It happens. We've all done it. I'm not criticizing, but if you end up going negative and the thing falls off, don't get mad at other people. That is definitely on you.
Yep.
And then I was just going over some of the mistakes that I've made. Where we came from, where we started. And ultimately, there's one position that I have that, the stock has done terrible. I don't even want to mention it right now, but they just haven't executed. But I'm still sitting around 80% profit on risk-free warrants because I got into early private placements.
So you took my advice.
Yes. It was all you.
It was all me. Yes.
Yeah. But those are the things that I'm looking to get into, and hopefully can share those opportunities with people, right?
Absolutely. And that's why when you are in groups and communities, I know of one that's pretty cool, but you learn about those things. You can at least be, a lot of people talk to a lot of different people, and when they're bringing in early private placements, or they're bringing in, hey guys, I heard this stock is doing this recently. Hey, you get so much more information, and you can make better decisions because you're being brought more selection.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you need to know, right? When people are talking about a stock and it's gone on a big run, you don't know it. You don't know if it's being pushed up so people can exercise things and ultimately are dumping. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot that you need to know.
Yeah.
And I think we need to do like a podcast on doing due diligence, what to look for.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe we can get my buddy Johnny Mac on there.
We have to. We have to. Well, speaking of due diligence, you're about to do some yourselves as an audience, because we're going to a short clip with Valens Grow. I was trying to figure out who we were doing next. Tyler Robson, CEO of Valens Grow Works. He stopped by and we got to speak to him, and let's go learn a little bit about his company now. And we're here with Tyler Robson, CEO of Valens Grow Works. How are you doing? Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And you know, we're always looking for new companies, and not new company. Actually, been around for quite some time, but there's so many out there these days.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to hear from the people themselves about who you are and what you're doing. So there's the opportunity right now to all of the investors and everyone watching right now. Who's Valens?
Valens is a terrific company. We've flown under the radar for the most part, and we've actually been building a fundamentally sound business rather than making a lot of noise in this sector. Now it's kind of time to share what we've been working on.
Yep.
So the big thing for us, we have 3 different subsidiaries: Valens Agritech, Valens Farms, and then Super THC Services. Valens Agritech is a processing and extraction facility that's strictly built for extraction purposes and post-processing. So what post-processing is when you remove the fatty acids, lipids, and waxes from cannabis resins and oils. The Valens Farms is a cultivation center, strictly built for cultivation. And the last one we have is called Super THC Services. It's been named the Center of Excellence by Thermo Fisher, a $90 billion US market cap company for plant-based medicinals, because we're so much further ahead than everybody else. So those are our big 3 subsidiaries.
That's really interesting too, because I like that. So many people, they don't have their identity, which is amazing. Companies have been around for a couple of years now, and surely, we'll have the biggest facility. We're going to have the most flour. I love the fact that you said you have a facility that's going to be in a whole division strictly on oils and strictly on that side of the business, because that's going to be somewhere where I don't think prices are going to come down as much as in like a flour will. Flour's going to come down. You know, it's $10, $15. It's going to go down. It's going to become closer to commodity. You're going to have your buck of Graham. I joked last week, just like Ford has said for beer in Ontario, but you're going to have cheaper. But when it comes to oils, that's where you can get really great margins.
Exactly. So if you look at any mature cannabis market in the U.S., California, Oregon, Washington, flour commoditizes, the market matures and prices come down. The lucrative part right now is the high value added oil extractions and branded products, and that's exactly what we're focused on.
Now, are you going to be going more so, and you may still be working this, because obviously the rec market, what you're going to be allowed to do with oils, or that's still, you know, we don't know yet, but are you going to be going strictly medical, or do you see yourself going into, you know, maybe we will do derivative products with this, and et cetera? We're
going to participate in the recreation and medical. So if you look at Canada, obviously recreational is the big ticket here, but if you look at any international distribution platform, everything or every country will start with a medicinal program and eventually move to rec. So we have to make sure we do have medical products to do international distribution. Absolutely. Now, where are you on the process, or have you started the process of looking into getting your GMP or your export license? Yeah, so we already have our export license under the narcotic control regulations, and we just in August we actually did our audit for our GMP certification. So we're actually just waiting to get that. So we're very close. That's nice, and and those types of things, you're up to the helms of the government and that kind of stuff. But that's interesting because it's like you said, a lot of places. You look at Germany, you look at Malta, you look at was it South Africa? Yep. Just legalized cannabis. Yesterday, all these different places, Australia. Like you said, they're going to start off with medical products, and that's why I've always been so bullish about Canadian companies, because unlike in the United States, unfortunately, they can't export right now to other countries. We can. Yeah, but that gives us a huge ability to step ahead of the U.S. for the first time in a long time, and actually cement a footprint at the international level for cannabis. Absolutely, and it's going to be very interesting. Now, there's also a Mackey report, I believe, came out recently. Can you speak about that a little bit? Yeah, so Mackey did a research report on us with a buy up to $4.50. Currently, we're at $2. The big thing for us, no one's heard of us. We've actually done more time spent on a fundamentally strong business rather than out marketing and out pitching. So I think that MAC report is going to help us get to where we're going, and I think you'll see a few more research reports coming out showing how undervalued we are currently.
No, and that's good too, because I'm an investor. We have a group of investors, and just anyone out there can see a lot of these companies, especially the lower tier, I find did this a little bit more, where they used a lot of marketing and a lot of different tricks to get their share prices up.
For sure.
But what happened afterwards? They just crashed afterwards. And don't get me wrong, we all went through a correction. Everyone went up for a bit and everyone came down. That's true. But you want to try to find those companies that are putting that, like, look, we know how important this is going to be. We're putting all of our time into building the foundation of this. When that's ready, which sounds like it's really getting to that point now, now you tell the story, say, look what we've actually done, opposed to look what we might do.
Yeah, exactly. You're spot on. So we're fundamentally sound. We haven't spent any time at marketing and trying to get our story out until now. Now it's time to show everybody what we're working so hard on. And I can't wait for the reckoning in the sector to actually see who's real and who isn't. And I look forward to that day. No, I appreciate it. Well, hey, thanks for coming down to the studio. I hope everyone was able to learn a little bit from this. Your ticker and where they can find out more information. Yeah, so on our website, valensgrowworks.com. Our stock ticker is VGW. Very good weed, we'll call it. So it's a little unique, but yeah, head to the website and you'll find a ton of information. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, appreciate it. We'll be looking forward to seeing what you have in the very near future. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Absolutely. And we're back.
And we're back.
Are you a little bit more comfortable?
Dude, look at this chair, man. This is the boss chair right here.
We got a little bit of a set change in between. Carl is too tall for that other chair. You're too tall, bud. Yeah. But I won't lie. This is actually very, very comfortable. I'm not going to lie. So what do you want to talk about, dude? Valens Grow Works. I think it's a really cool company. I didn't get to see the interview. Oh, you didn't? Well, no. I kind of did it, so I remember it. So tell me about it. But it was interesting. I think when you see their facility, he was showing me pictures afterwards, actually, of the facility of their extracting oils, and like that whole oil facility, oil production facility is the wording I was looking for. Where is it? It looked fantastic. I can't recall, actually. I'm almost positive it's out west, but I can't recall, but it was beautiful. I mean, you look at it and you're like, what is going on here? It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see where they're coming, because not many people that we know are talking about Valens Grow Works as a stock. Canadian company. American Holdings, where are they listed? CSC. Now you're drilling me. I didn't know this much. I just remember the. Well, no, I don't know about it, so I'm just, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not too sure. You know what's good for that? Google. Google will find this out for us. Google it, Brendan. Google it. Are you pulling a James now? Yeah. You see, he's actually pretty good with the. I can do some good ones too. Yeah. I can do a Jamaican. They're CSC. Yeah, CSC. VGW. VGW. You can. So, do they have any American holdings? Do you know? I don't know. I don't believe so, though. I don't believe so. But again, due diligence. Go out there and start looking into them. But do you think that the CSC listed companies have an advantage now that the market's looking more and more at the U.S., that they can go and actually accumulate assets in the in down south? I don't so much know about accumulating. No, well, okay, no, you go ahead. I don't know so much about accumulating assets, although that's a very interesting topic to think of. But what's really interesting is that the CSC, just like 2 years ago, was close to a joke. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed saying that, but like this is what people, when you go on there, it was always, it's like look at the pink slips in the States until you get to the OTC venture. Mm-hmm. When you're on the CSC, it's amazing how cannabis arguably has completely changed that exchange. Yeah. Completely. Right. Look at these American absolute juggernauts coming over to Canada and going on our stock exchange, which is rare to do that. It's not a normal thing for American companies to come over and put their money in there. Going to the CSC because of those rules. I think in a way you definitely do have an advantage, but there's disadvantages as well of not being on TSX and TSX Venture. So when the big bags come in after October 17th, which is a complete assumption. Yeah. Which companies do you think they're going to go out and say, go play? And go, because they're going to be buying stuff. Without being a fund manager and fully knowing how they're operating, I truly believe they're going to stick to TSX Venture and TSX, strictly because a lot of large funds usually have some sort of stipulation that they need to be on the TSX Venture or TSX, or they need to be over X amount of dollars because they don't like that high volatility. So then maybe the CSC listed companies do not have an advantage, or the financing becomes more competitive and they start getting backed. Yeah, and that's hard for me to say for myself. I don't have experience in larger banks, so we should definitely get someone on to speak about that. But I'm going on past conversations I've had with people where they've known some certain like hedge funds or some sort of company that you need to have higher quality stocks in there, like a retirement fund or something like that, where it can't be as risky. They look at the CSE, I'm told, much different than they do the TSX Venture and the TSX, because it's harder to get to those exchanges. So I don't know if they're going to really be flying into these, below $1 companies in the CSE. I don't know, but if they have a risky aspect to their fund, they're going to flood money in there, because that's where a lot of these valuations can still soar, because a lot of them are still really small in the grand scheme of things.
What do you think about this New York fund coming in here and financing some companies like Maricann got that? It's alumni, isn't it?
Why hasn't it happened earlier?
That's a $20 million drawdown.
Yep.
Did they just do that with CHV?
CHV just had one, kid.
But with alumni, right?
I don't know the name. Actually. I'm not too sure.
And there was something filled out.
Invictus. Invictus also has something very similar. I'd be very interested if it was the same company for all three. I haven't looked into that, actually. If we
I think 2 out of the 3
is.
Yeah. And they actually just exercised some warrants on the Maricann front, I believe.
Did they?
Yes. I got a private message from a close colleague of ours. Give me a little wink wink. What's going on over here?
Yeah.
What's going on over here?
That's what you're always looking for, eh? You're always looking for the inside scoop. What's going on?
Just walking by.
Yeah.
Hey, dude.
People everywhere.
we need a camera, like show other people.
Show all the different things that are going on here.
Yeah.
Well, hey, why don't we queue up something, because we had someone come in here, and it was someone we've had on the show before, and there was a lot of questions. We actually went to our Facebook group. Follow the Money Investor Group, both Maricann groups, which are now Wayland groups, and another group as well. There's over 8,000 people. We basically said we're having Graham come on the show. Graham Farrell is the VP of Communications for Wayland Group Corp. He's coming on the show. What are your questions? And I actually went through all the different questions.
Did you ask some tough questions, Brandon?
I tried. I asked for one, and it was specific. He looked at me and almost like, I can't answer that. So I tried. Certain things, if you're in a blackout period, you can only say so much. But these are questions that aren't even for me. These are from different viewers, different members. I'm excited for it.
We got to
say something before we go.
We got to set up a segment where I just get to grill people, and most people aren't going to come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple will. Well, why don't we go to the segment now? We'll see what we were talking about Graham from Wayland, and one of the biggest things is why the name change. Find out now. Today with Graham Farrell, VP of Communications from Wayland Group Corp. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and as I just on those same notes, it is always a pleasure having you on. The last time we spoke, I introduced you a little bit differently. There's something different now.
Yeah, a little slight change. We can get right into that if you like.
Yeah, Wayland Group.
Wayland Group. So Wayland comes from, it's German roots. Okay. Wayland the Smith is a German mythological figure known for he's a creator and inventor. So we thought, given our roots in Europe and our beacon in Germany, we thought it was a good fit. And also for the name change, as much as Maricann is, I'm a sentimental guy, I like Maricann. Maricann's been around since 2013. And it's not going anywhere. It still represents our medical business. But as our business grows and the landscape in Canada changes and the landscape globally changes, we felt Wayland would be a better corporate image for the company to move forward through as we develop more brands, more products, more jurisdictions, etc.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting you say that too, because I've been talking to a lot of different people in our different our networks and different Facebook groups asking about the name change. It's right, when you see Maricann, it's a great name. It's got you guys where it'd be. I personally I like Wayland. I like the way it sounds, because you are going to have a huge pharmaceutical aspect to your company. You already do, and I didn't know about that piece out in Europe actually that has that connection. So it's very interesting that way.
Yeah, there was a lot of work put into it, and a few names were bounced around, but that seemed to work the best with everyone internally, and I'm happy for the change.
Perfect. Well, I almost always do not have a sheet of paper in front of me, but this time I do. And we were talking about it earlier. The reason why is that we had let a bunch of people know, actually 8,000 people. We asked them, do you have any questions for Graham when he comes on the show today? And that's why I had this here, because I want to make sure I don't miss some of their questions.
Sure. Yeah,
and to go through them, because there's some really great ones in here, because now we're starting to heat up. It's starting to get close to that point. So
it's real.
We'll jump into some of these questions here. One of which is probably the most pressing. Is the prospectus clearing, and do you have any information on possible uplisting into TSX Venture, or where are we sitting with that?
Sure. I mean, the prospectus for our special warrant financing back in August that closed. We are in the process, so I don't have any visibility into that. Again, I am told when it's cleared is the same time you are, so that's where we stand, and we'll see.
Okay.
That's the best I can answer that right now.
Well, and I can imagine, even if you can only say so much when it comes to the regulators and things like that. Because something else people have been wondering about is these warrants. So the warrants, when they trade for 10 days over $2, I think it is. Do you know how that process works with the prospectus? Like, does that kick in?
Yeah. So the special warrant financing that closed in August. Part of that financing there's a unit, so it's a stock, common share, and a warrant. Once the prospectus does clear, the time on those warrants starts. So it's a 10-day
from that time.
Trading above $2, that's when the call option kicks in.
Gotcha. And that's good to know. And for anybody who's listening right now, because they're curious about that, has it already started? So when the prospectus goes, do those warrants, can they be exercised or called upon right away? But it sounds like they still need that 10-day buffer period.
That's correct.
Other things that people were asking about is, when it comes to VESIsorb, we spoke about the medical side of Wayland. I had to catch myself there.
Yeah.
Almost used it.
Happens to me as well.
But when you take that medical side, VESIsorb is something that you're going to be really anchoring on, especially out in Europe. If I'm not mistaken, that's already underway. That's already selling. Are you able to talk about progress of that in Europe and possibly in Canada?
Absolutely. I can talk about a number of things. I mean, VESIsorb is one of the big differentiators for Wayland. I almost did it myself, actually.
Yeah. Takes getting used to.
So as everyone knows, multiple uses, multiple things that VESIsorb brings to us on the functional beverage side, on the the edible side, the recreational aspect of it is huge, and also on the medical side, where it comes from, the pharmaceutical industry. We've taken this from the pharmaceutical industry and applied it to cannabis. We are selling it in Germany right now. It is commercialized on a large scale. Nice. We are selling it online at www.mariplantde.de. Yep. And we're also selling it in pharmacies. So we've been approached from some pharmacies, as our press release stated a few weeks ago. So it is on the shelves in pharmacies, and we expect it to be a known product throughout Germany and throughout Europe.
Very nice. And on that same note, there's a couple of questions that were tied into that, one of which being Canada. I believe it's still Health Canada. We're still waiting for...
Yeah, it's in the regulatory realm. Again, I mean, I know as much as you do. It's with Health Canada, that's what I know. But I'm sure our QA department is working hard to make sure that gets through, yes.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's anything that I've learned investing and just being a part of the cannabis industry and learning about it is that, sometimes you're at the mercy of Health Canada because they have so much going on. They got a whole rec system coming up. Yeah. They got to figure out all the different aspects. So it's interesting, but so to be continued on.
And another thing to add to that is that you want to do things right. You don't want to rush things just to get a press release out. You want to make sure it's done well, it's done properly, and it's airtight. So there's you don't have to come back and revisit that, right? So that's always been our approach, is to make sure things are done right and properly, so we can move forward.
Well, on that note, and continuing on that note, I should say, and especially in Europe, when it comes to sales, so sales of VESIsorb and things like that, is it strictly online right now? I think you said it was in a few pharmacies, but you don't have any stores open up just yet.
No stores as of yet. There are bigger plans. As we've previously discussed, Europe is a major focus for us. So yeah, there'll be further developments in the region. Currently, it's online. Even the pharmacies are buying it from us online. So that's the portal, but that will evolve.
Nice. And the last question in that regard is THC. You've been granted, I believe, your export from Canada into Germany, but not the import. Do I have that right?
So the final piece of that puzzle is we are waiting on our GMP certification for our facility in Germany.
Gotcha.
Okay, and once we have that, we can then ship to our facility in Germany. And what that does is it cuts out the middleman. So people who are shipping over there now, they're using a broker, they're using middleman, takes their margin away. So it'll be a big deal for us once we get our GMP certification in Germany. And again, I'm not going to sit here and talk about timing, because it's not a good exercise. But hopefully it happens soon. But when it does happen, it's a major impact for Wayland shareholders as it differentiates us once again from the pack, as we have our own GMP facility in Germany. Well,
yeah, and I think that would be a pretty big deal when it's like you said, you don't have to pay wholesale prices. You're quite literally selling to yourself,
right?
And that way you can get larger margins out of it and obviously make more money.
Larger margin, exactly. And we're well positioned there. We're the only company with a facility ready to go in Germany, so it's we're very strong positioned there.
Very nice. Well, to wrap up Europe in different areas, obviously other than Canada, do you have any updates on Italy, on Malta, on these different areas that?
Steady as she goes, right? So Italy was still it's not a finalized agreement yet. So our teams are putting that together, and hopefully that's final soon. But again, first mover in Italy with a very strong partner, so that's exciting. Malta, as everyone knows, it's a pharmaceutical hub that'll help aid our pharmaceutical business throughout Europe. And Switzerland, which we can get to more. I'm sure there's questions around Haxon and their Switzerland operation. It's steady as she goes, so it's moving forward.
Well, why don't we run on that actually for Haxon and in that area. When it comes to your CBD cigarettes, I know a lot of people, this is the first time ever hearing about the CBD cigarette, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
It's interesting because in Europe, it's actually a big thing.
It is a thing, and it's a very big thing. It's growing. So CBD cigarettes as an alternative to tobacco with low THC, sub 1%, is legal in Switzerland, and we're well positioned there as well. So the plan is to have these products, these CBD cigarettes, launched in Q1.
Okay.
That's where we stand right now, and there are similar products being sold in Switzerland. The difference is they're half mixed with tobacco, they're lower quality, so we are elevating the CBD cigarette game that exists in Switzerland.
Gotcha. And by saying that, you're going to be strictly CBD in these cigarettes, no tobacco whatsoever?
No tobacco whatsoever, yes, correct. Yeah. It'll be a superior product.
Yeah. Well, very nice. Well, I look forward to seeing what comes of that and how that progresses. And now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't have to look at this list. Yeah. They're coming back to my head, but I had here to make sure that everyone got their questions out there.
Sure.
One person asked, what about, you see a lot of different people talking about Jamaica and South Africa and these other areas where it's really starting to thrive, the cannabis industry. Yep. Do you have any plans there? Are you looking at it? Do you have anything you can elaborate on?
What I can say is that there are a number of opportunities that come at us on a daily basis from all around the world. And knowing Ben and knowing our team, we will pursue opportunities that are better for our shareholders, that best represent their interests. Yeah. So is it active? Absolutely. Can I tell you what jurisdictions we're close on? Yeah. Not at this time. But we are very active internationally, as obviously it's opening up globally. Yeah. And we're aware of that and want to be positioned the best. Yes. On a global scale.
So you're telling me you can't give us information that nobody else knows right now on the show?
That is correct, yes. I'm sorry about that.
We try. Yeah. But switching gears to Ontario and to Canada. Legalization is coming up October 17th. Mm-hmm. April 1st, we'll be having storefronts in Ontario, specifically the largest province per capita and population as well. Mm-hmm. Where are you guys heading towards, or where are you at right now with recreational sales? Like, are you prepared for October 17th? Will you have certain strains that you're going to be selling? And also in Ontario, have you decided if you're going to be opening up any retail stores? Do you have any plans for that?
So as for the retail presence, that's a question for my sales and marketing team. But I do believe that Ontario is yet to give definitive guidelines into what that's going to look like.
It might be this week. They're saying it might be this week.
Yeah. But, so I guess until we know, and everyone knows what the guidelines are. We will move accordingly. Obviously, we spend a lot of time, or our sales and marketing team spend a lot of time focusing on Ontario and our strategy here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I have full faith in those guys to come up with this strategy that works.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because like they're going to be say it's this week. You don't have much time to react before it actually. Yes, it's April 1st and still quite a ways away, but in the grand scheme of things, I mean, it's not a lot of time. I'm so
Welcome
surprised
to the cannabis industry.
I know. I'm so surprised they still haven't done this. I mean, it would have been. It's funny. A lot of people were angry at Ford for pushing it to April 1st. Like, oh, what are you doing? He probably came in there, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but like he's got some history in, in selling. The Fords know that industry very, very well, and he probably looked in it though and just thought to himself, "We can't go with this. We can't go with those."
I'm not going to comment on the Fords, but I will say the private model is an ideal model for Wayland and for the entire space for Ontario LPs. Absolutely.
That's why we allow me. I'm not IR for a big corporation. I'm Ftmig on the Midas Live. I can say stuff about certain people that maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But at the end of the day, it is the truth. But I think it's going to be very interesting how that is put out. What type of retail stores are going to go out? I can imagine you guys are going to have some updates for us when that comes to be.
100%.
Langton. Langton facility, we've talked about it a couple of times, you and I, and we've actually been there. Well, I'm sure you've been there way more than a couple of times, but myself with you a couple of times. And the last few Maricann minutes that we've been seeing, which are now the Wayland minutes, there's been one room that is growing. Do you know how close those other rooms are coming how close they are to coming online? And
yes, very
are
close.
they already?
Very close. We're still in the one room in the new facility, and the plants look beautiful. I was actually there yesterday, and they look. Nice. It's very exciting to be in there. We are very close to getting a significant rollout in the new facility. I don't know where we stand with the regulators, etc., but it's very close. It's looking really good down there, and we're ready.
Nice. And do you have any certain strains that are currently growing in there now, or are you able to speak about which ones might hit come recreational?
So Kiwi is our first launch, our official launch. That'll be the brand in stores, and stay tuned for more brand launches.
Nice.
We've got some pretty cool stuff coming down the pipe. So
it'll be interesting because there's a lot more still to come, not from yourself, but a lot of other companies. So for myself as a speculator and investor, I love it. Every time I see a new investor presentation or I see something new, I'm like, oh, they got 5 new brands or 3 new brands. It's crazy, eh? It's crazy.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
There's nothing else like this. No, not right now, at least. And there hasn't been for a long time. So it's, all on these companies who are still having their head on top of their shoulders with all the different, all these different things that Health Canada keeps throwing at you, and all these different things that keep happening, and things moving, and legalization. Was it happening? Was it not happening? It's been a wild year.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been fun.
And another question that you may or may not be able to answer, but I'm going to probe you anyway.
Okay.
Catalysts. Do we have any catalysts coming up that we should be, keeping an eye on, looking at before Christmas? What's coming up?
Well, it's I get that sort of question all the time, and I wish I knew. I mean, there's sometimes, but what I can say is we will continue to execute. There's, as I said before, it is very busy. It's just a matter of things crossing the line. I expect a very active Q3 and Q4 as far as catalysts go.
Yeah, because there's still so much more unknown. We were just talking about that seconds ago, and it's crazy that something brand new can come out. Like, look what happened when outdoor crops came. Have you heard of anything about that, by the way?
No, I don't know. I don't know what our plan. I mean, our facility is, as you know, it's state of the art, pharmaceutical grade, fully automated, and to incorporate an outdoor grow, I don't know. I haven't been part of that conversation, but definitely not our focus.
And I heard it. Obviously, a couple months ago, it was announced in the summer, and nothing since. Like I'm hearing from some people that I'm talking to that they're trying to fight it and make it not be allowed. And there's always, I was just wondering if you had heard of any of those talks happening, because outdoor grow is going to be a large component for some of these companies, but it's such an unknown. It's just another unknown to throw into the basket of what's going on in the cannabis industry.
It's explosive growth, new industry, right? So a lot of changes will continue to happen.
Absolutely. Well, wait, I'm going to look at here because I want to make sure that all these people took a lot of time to go through these different questions. I want to make sure we got to all of them because people were very, very curious about certain things, and I didn't ask about one.
Okay.
McKesson. There's a lot of ambiguity around there, but a lot of, hopefully, optimism as well. Can you go into any type of detail of what that relationship
I can talk about our pharmacy initiative. That's across the country. It's real. It's our deal. We will be I'd be careful how I word this. We have to be careful. But basically, we have a very robust pharmacy agreement across the country that is live. It's and the national launch is anticipated very soon. So again, stay tuned. That's what I can say there. It's real. It's ours. It's across the country, and it's meaningful.
I'm glad to hear. Well, hey, it was a head fake, so I do have one more question for you, and then we'll let you go. So I appreciate your time. The States. A lot of people are talking about listing in different areas in the States. Are you guys still looking at different options? Is that something you're actively pursuing?
Yeah, the last time I was on here, I mentioned it's top priority. It is a top priority. It's a top priority to review where we're listed and what's better for our shareholders and where we want to be listed in the future. So that conversation's ongoing internally. Yeah. That's what I can say. We are aware of different exchanges providing different benefits. And back again, we're playing musical hosts.
Yeah, but I got a way better chair this time.
Right, these are actually are that much better. We are not going back to the old one.
I was ready. He was like, we got to change the chairs. I was like, done.
This is like a lazy boy, but made in an actual seat that's all the way up. It's really, really nice. But no, switched up hosts one more time. And it's just, talking to Maricann, I know was a really, really great time always speaking with Graham, because you're learning something new each time as they're going on trying to figure out the mic on the other side.
Perfect.
he came out and he's like, go on a rant for a second. And usually I'm pretty good at just being able to bullshit my way through that. But I'm just laughing over there.
Throw me under the bus. Yeah, no, that's all good.
But now,
continue.
Yeah, now that your mic's back on, go back to our original conversation. But no, I love having Graham on. They got a lot on the back burners right now. I want to see some things come to fruition. As an investor, you want to see these things, but you also understand that these companies are building, and I just can't wait until next year, because next year you can finally start really judging people on how much money are you making? Yeah. What are you selling?
It's going to be all about
what's your
earnings.
profit?
It's going to be about
the revenues. Go back to real life.
Yeah, 100%. It's all speculation right now. Well, with most companies, anyways. Yeah. You have those weeds and ACBs and all that kind of stuff, but those kind of companies, they're going to have to start earning, and a lot of them are going to fail.
Well, look at Aurora, actually.
If they don't get bought out, they're going to fail.
Well, we had Aurora. I know analysts were looking for a lot more money from them in their last quarter, or was it the year quarter? Because they now have Cannabis and MedRelief. They had Cannabis for a whole quarter. And you want to see those numbers really start moving, but I think they will. But it's interesting, because we're going to go from this whole speculative state of mind to show me your balance sheet. Let's go back to real life for a moment.
I know, and evaluations are going to go, they're actually going to mean something, and market caps are going to mean something.
Oh yeah,
most market caps don't mean anything right now.
They still don't even know. If we can get my computer up here, we'll do some magic. Get it up top there, but I want to point out something. Aleafia actually had a really good news release. They brought on a really important family into their company, and they soared. This stock has been to the moon and back today. Whoa. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is obviously level 2, unlike when you're on, say, TD or whatever your brokerage firm is. You'll see
level
1 bid and 1 ask is the L1. This is showing you all the different bids and all the different asks, and it's lighting up. I mean, you're looking at around 19 million shares trading volume. It had a high of 470, a low of $3.06. This thing's flying right now. If you look at the...
I wish I could read this more. But again, going back to even like the chats here, people are in here talking about this all the time.
Yeah, because you have to know, like, holy
they can teach you, and you can ask any question at any time, and somebody will come on, and they will be like, this is what you're looking for, this is what you...
Well, funny enough, half the stuff I know from charting is from people in our group, because I was always a fundamentalist, and I wanted to learn charting when I was in school full time. I was working. You only have so many hours in the day. But it's nice, because when you look at this, and I've said this numerous times, I think almost every single week the last 3 weeks, about a Bollinger Band squeeze. It's my favorite term, because you look at it though, it's exactly what happened.
Oh, it is.
It broke through the Bollinger Bands after being that really, really tight consolidation for a while there, And now look at it just absolutely blast off. And this entire time, it stayed over its EMA 8. So it stayed over its exponential moving average. And it's touched it a couple times and bounced back up. But look at today, the swing that it's made today has been nuts. The volume has been picking up each way. It's been overbought. If you look at this area here on the RSI, it's been overbought since what? Before, so about 3 weeks straight. It's been overbought. And it's, you know, what's going to happen now? It's gone from what? It went from like 80 cents, less, like 50 cents, all the way up to 460 in a matter of like 3 weeks. So, you know, it's crazy. It's one of those things, watch out about chasing rockets.
Well, and that's it.
You gotta watch out, you're not trying to catch it after all this momentum.
Oh my God, I know. It's only a matter of time before it comes back down, but like, I mean, there's been so many that have been doing this.
Yeah.
You know, like how many times we look up on here and all of a sudden it's just like, whoa, that's up 20%.
Oh, it's crazy.
You know, like you look at some and like most people are happy with like 4 or 5%, you know, but when I got into this cannabis sector, I'm like 20%, like what? That's nothing, you know what I mean? I want the 50, I want the 100s.
It's so funny. If you got your mutual fund the other day and like we made you a 9% return over the entire year, most people are like, oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm looking like, yeah, I'm only up 30%. I want to go for 50 in a day. It's so backwards, and people have to realize this isn't normal. Like this is not how trading works. This is
what like hemp might be.
Yeah.
You know, like we
I
can
can't
see
wait
this
for them.
With all these companies and everything like that. We can see this happen again.
We were talking earlier about the farm bill, talking about the farm bill being delayed, and I still need to read into it because I didn't get a chance before since we last talked. But that's a big deal. I was going to put, I don't know what's going through the regulators' minds in the States right now that you don't want this to go through. Hemp, if you already know, you gave Canada cannabis for the most part. Yeah. We're the ones exporting everywhere. We're the ones who are having supply deals. We're the ones going into different countries.
We're the ones going to be global.
And you've already given that to Canada, which I personally just don't understand why. I love it. I'm a Canadian. I love it, but I don't understand how that happened. You almost had hemp. You could have cornered the hemp, and you have massive fields.
Hemp's going to be bigger than cannabis.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be a commodity. And I cannot believe that they backed out of it. I don't know who's calling shots. I already speculated. I had my tinfoil hat on earlier of who's calling these shots. Man. Yeah, get the CEO of DuPont on here. No, it's funny that you almost had it. Other than China, because China has had hemp legal this entire time, and no one really knows the numbers there because you know they're just not. A lot of them are government companies, and you don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, as these people yell behind me, it's amazing how, for hemp especially, it's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. Yet you gave it away, and now I hope Canada steps up and takes it. You know, we got to change it from a Schedule II drug and get it off of that because it's ridiculous that it is. But that farm bill, that was a big deal. I wonder if some of these American cannabis companies that are in hemp or hemp companies, I wonder if they're going to start getting hit. I don't know if they have yet. What was the one we were talking about this morning?
There's Hempco, there's Crop and everything like that.
Crop is the one I was thinking of. So what's Crop at today?
Look at this.
Crop, no, it's still not bad. I mean, Crop
it got hit yesterday, but
I mean, look at all the bids. Look at all the bids are really stacked as well. It actually looks pretty good still, because this one rocketed. This is the one I called. I'm like, this is gonna explode, and I sold it like a day or two before that.
Well, that's what you do, but you help everybody else.
I help everyone else. Yeah. So listen, when you hear me sell, buy. But again, it was showing a lot. It's still above. It's 200 moving day average. It's above everything actually right now. It came down, touched that EMA 8 again. I love that, by the way. I never used to use it. I love Johnny Mac put me onto the EMA 8, throwing that into your charts. It really does have a really nice, it's an exponential moving average. So instead of a 200, so say it's a 10-day, 50-day, or 100-day moving average, that takes the average price over that time. So $1, $2, $3, whatever it be. But that can be skewed because, a 1 cent change from 1 cent to 2 cents, it's huge. It's 100% change. But a 1 cent change when you're in $3 doesn't really make a big difference. So exponential is the percentage change.
Well, I mean, you look at where wheat is at. It's like at $69. It's moved 95 cents. It's only a 1% change. Yeah. But you take 95 cents at a much lower price, you've got a big gain, right?
You're 95 cents here, you're somehow in the negative, even though I thought that's impossible. But it's so they haven't had it, but they were on a huge bull run, and then yesterday it looks like they started pulling back. I think that's just because the run was so massive. It's such a huge run from the mid 20s or so up until it almost touched 70 cents. But if this farm bill, if this is really not going through, that's going to affect some of these hemp players out there. And again, I don't pretend to know the extent of how much it's going to affect them. Look into it, read up on it, but that's why are they doing
bad
this
publicity,
still?
and it's just going to drop them down a little bit for a little time, and then it's going to be fine. Like it just happens all the time. They put bad things out all the time. Like I mean, you saw Donald Trump put down. He said that Amazon did something, whatever, and they tanked. But then all of a sudden, he retracts that, and it right back up.
Are you insinuating that the leader of the free world is pump and dumping the markets through tweets?
I would never say that.
Go look at the gold, by the way. But no, I think people have been doing that for such a long time.
Yeah.
I see it in some of our newspapers. You know what? I see articles. I'm like, you were just bullish a day ago.
Oh, yeah.
How are you bearish now?
Well, I mean,
it's so
Global
convenient.
Mail, they put out so many bearish things, and then now they have a section for cannabis in their
paper.
In the paper.
Yeah. I go to
I
go to the Financial Post. Instead of saying anything bad, I'll say something good. I go to the Financial Post. Their cannabis section I actually do like.
Yeah.
Although Mark Rendell, he used to work for the National Post. I believe he moved over to the Globe and Mail, funny enough. I liked Mark Rendell. He had some really good information because you have to look out there. There's a lot of articles that go out there. They're morons.
Oh, yeah.
They have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, we just recently finally got to a state where we can have a cannabis article. It's not someone with a 15-foot joint. That's not real.
Oh, I know.
Now they're starting to realize that, professionals, medical
they're
patients,
keeping the
athletes,
stigma around. They're not trying to help the situation.
So it's funny that we go to them for our news saying, oh, it's about to boom, it's about to bust. No, you are literally pump and dumping the market, in my personal opinion, from what you're writing. And half the stuff you're writing doesn't take into account the actual market. And it took such a long time for me to even remotely look at a mainstream news article and think, oh, that person might actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's changing slowly. They're like, oh shit, we can't get away with it anymore. People are actually getting smarter now. But that's a lot of tinfoil. Let's take our tinfoil hats and put them off to the side. But no, I can't wait.
Hilarious.
I know, I gotta watch what I say sometimes. It's just funny though, because you watch it and people always say, conspiracy theorists, conspiracy theorists, or a lot of them are proven right after a while. And stereotypes, there's stereotypes for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't want to start going into a political correctness talk right now.
Don't do it.
But it's just funny though, because you should be able to speak your mind, because if other people see it and hear, like, yeah, you know what? I don't like that reporting, or I don't like that is a little bit shady. You start questioning it, and then that tool from them isn't as strong anymore. Yeah. Not to say that any of those entities we just spoke to were actually doing any of these. Boom. Hopefully our lawyer likes that.
Wow, just...
Yeah. No, that was a stamp.
Oh,
I
thought you just mic dropped that whole thing. I was like, well played.
No, that was a stamp. I would mic drop, just throw this around. This took 15 pounds. But we're keying up another interview coming up, though, because we spoke to somebody else, and I want to make sure I get their name correct here, because we've had a lot of people on, and as much as I like to think that I remember names, I don't. I'm terrible with them, but I had a really good talk with him, because he actually had experience with Supreme Pharmaceuticals and TGIF as they were building up. So he's been in the system already, and I brought up a really good point, which I already knew that he knew, but you can't really look in the mirror and see, like, look how good looking I am. You gotta sometimes wait for someone else to say it, because what I mean by that, though, you'll see the context when you see the video, is that I really think I've had this talk with you before, I think these newer companies going public now or in the next couple of months actually have their own set of advantage, because now they're not having to spend all that money on research and development and on all these different things.
Vaults that you don't need,
the hoops. We now have security firms who know what they're doing. We have builders who've been doing it for a long time. The electricians aren't just venturing into
let
cannabis.
Them make the mistakes, and then
there.
This is what we have.
So if you look at something like an Aurora or Canopy, they have the first mover's advantage, and that's massive. But look what they had to pay to get there.
Yeah.
Look at the dilution they had to do, and the money that they spend, and don't get me wrong, I think those two specifically are going to be juggernauts in their space. But look at all these medium tier people who have been around this time. They've wasted all this money, and for whatever reason, whether it be management not going through, Health Canada giving them issues, whatever it is, they've wasted all their money, and now somebody else who spent a fraction of that money, who have the same know-how, because they're probably working with cannabis companies before, now they're doing their own venture.
Oh yeah.
Now they're coming in, they have their own unique advantage where they got to where they are now at a fraction of the price.
Oh, absolutely.
And they can keep moving. So on that, we're gonna go see Cody Corrubia. That's the part I didn't want to mess up, is his last name. CEO of Weekend Unlimited. We'll gear that up now. I hope you enjoy. So our next guest today is Cody Corrubia, CEO of Weekend Unlimited Incorporated. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Excellent.
You know, it's we just continue to watch this cannabis industry unfold, and every day there's something new, and every day it's always changing. But speaking of change, or more so, speaking of something new, you're a company who hasn't yet gone public, but you're about to. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we formed about almost a year ago. We did a capital raise of about 18 million. I think it was about Q1. And we have been in the process of going public the last few months. I'm told any day we're going to get the call from the exchange, and then it should be about a week thereafter.
Nice.
So we're anticipating.
And do you have a certain exchange already picked out, obviously?
The CSE.
CSE, very nice,
yeah,
very nice.
And then we'll dual list in the States.
Yeah.
At the appropriate time.
So what are you covering? I mean, there's so many different out there. What differentiates you, and what are you going to be focusing on?
I think just early on that compared to the other companies that are doing quite well, I think we have a lot more coming out of the gate than they did. We have a 600-acre organic farm in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. I believe there's only 4 of those in the country. We have a 7-acre I-502 zone farm in Washington, nice. Which is starting to ramp up revenue as we speak. We've bought a few brands. One is Jerome Baker. He designs the large bongs. He gets a lot of press. He was on one of the late night shows this week. He was on CNN, big article. Mm-hmm. We just purchased Candy Candies, which is it's a hard candy company out of Southern Cal. They have about 35% of the market share there. Mm-hmm. So we're going to help them roll out to other states like Nevada, Massachusetts. The one thing that I'm really excited about right now is Jamaica. We just bought a project down there. We're one of the only 3 Tier 3 licenses, which is the largest one. It's a 90-acre farm, indoor, outdoor grow with a cafe, so tourists can go there and get a medical card, hang out for the day, really have lunch. Yeah. And then we have a 44,000 square foot facility to do extraction and processing. Nice. So I think the tourist revenue model will work pretty well, but the export model from Jamaica is where we're going to be focused, and with the cost of the product, and also I think the whole Jamaican branding will be pretty exciting, and people will follow that.
Yeah, and there's 2 points there that actually stand out to me. We'll go one to the other. Start with Jamaica, because you were just talking about that. Mm-hmm. There really aren't that many companies who are being able to get into Jamaica and get these large farms, get these. Yeah, you're going to be able to have year-round growing if you're going to be doing outdoor, and that's perfect for extractions, things like that.
Exactly.
But to get in there, a lot of the times, from what I heard at least, the government is being very strict with who they let in. So getting that's pretty key.
Yeah, without going into too much detail, it was we partnered with two brothers that are from Jamaica, live in Canada, and their partner who's a Jamaican citizen resident. Yep. So you had to have somebody who was a Jamaican resident on the license. So it was quite difficult, as you said, but we do have one of the 3, and the other 2 are held by two of the larger companies that trade up here.
Well, that's very interesting, because it'll be nice being able to grow it for so cheap and still be able to refine it to the standards that we all know, because you're taking it from Canada, States, whatever it be, you have the know-how. Take it to somewhere else. Not to say that they don't have the know-how. I'm less knowledgeable over Jamaica, things like that.
And that's our plan too.
But you have the know-how, and you have the machinery you can get over there. Like you could duplicate what you could do here over there.
That's part of our model, is to duplicate our revenue model in other places, and equipment and expertise, and implementing the capital.
Nice.
And that's what all these companies, I think, need.
Yeah, I mean, and before I go to the second point of Nevada, because I love hearing people in Nevada. It's a great city, or a great state. One thing that's really important is that to note is that I've long said, when we see all these companies that are coming public, and people once asked me, oh, it's too late for them to come in. It's too late. Why is it too late? they've now seen and learned from all the other people, so the Cannabis, the Auroras, they've spent millions of dollars, diluted their companies, and they're fantastic companies, don't get me wrong, but they did the digging. Now, if you've got a knowledgeable team who can come in afterwards, where their market cap is way less, they're able to have all these things because they understand the system now, and all these learning curves of what does Health Canada want, or how to get on the CSC, or that's all been paid for. You don't have to do the R&D. That's economics 101. It's actually going to be quite competitive for people coming in afterwards because you've seen all of this, and you'd have to pay all the money to do it. Is that a good?
No, Brandon, I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, thank you. Yeah, we learned a lot. There's, we were in 2 other deals that are pretty successful here, Supreme and TGIF. Our team, Stadnik Partners, is the founder of the Weekend Unlimited as well.
Yep.
He had done those other 2, Supreme and TGIF, which were a success. But as you said, we saved a lot on legal this round, going around, and we learned a lot in the past year or 2. Absolutely. And I've been traveling the past 3 or 4 years throughout the States, Canada, and elsewhere, really learning the business and getting in with the right people. So
and that's key.
I waded through a lot of characters to get to the point where we have some good assets.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And then off to the point I was saying before, Nevada. I don't quote me on this, but they have something like 45 million visitors alone to Las Vegas and Nevada area.
Realistic, yeah.
And unlike in Canada, they're not holding anything back. They've got products upon products upon products. They're embracing it. They understand it's going to be a big thing. Do you find that you're going to be able to have like a lot of edibles and a lot of recreation products, especially more so than what you can do in Canada, at the beginning at least?
Absolutely. In Nevada, you're saying?
In Nevada, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to apply for a license here shortly. We were in the process of purchasing a building that's zoned for cannabis. Yeah, absolutely. Nevada's an unbelievable market. They get huge premiums on the flower, and it's a right market.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. And like I said before, I've been looking at cannabis stocks for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's getting harder and harder to decipher the good ones from the bad ones because there's so many. There's over 100 that I follow, and sometimes they'll all mingle towards each other.
It's like you said, you want to get in a little earlier.
You want
either
to
in one of the private
earlier.
placements, or like you said, bet on a team that's done it a few times.
Yeah.
Which that's
and they still have room to grow.
Right.
I mean, you look at
some of these other ones. I'd be scared to buy it at this point.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at what Tilray's been doing over the last little while, it's been incredible. And these companies. I said when I first started saying this though, they're great companies. Sure. Great management. Bruce Linton, one of the top. They're great companies, but you also have to understand that these are companies that have massive market caps, and they're really baking in a lot of success, very little failure, and they have to succeed. And I think the top tier, I think they will succeed. I think they're good. When you start looking at the middle tier who have been around for 2 or 3 years, their market caps have swung the same way, but they didn't really make the same progression. Right. They didn't have a Cam Batley or Terry Booth. They didn't have a Bruce. So they've spent they have hundreds of thousands of shares out. They've got a lot of debt.
That's a good point.
But they didn't necessarily make those same jumps. So I put people like yourself, personally as an investor, at an advantage towards that, because now you're coming in with most likely a lower market cap. But I haven't looked at the structure or anything like that.
You're correct.
But you, like I said earlier, you've done a lot of that learning. You've done a lot. So it's very interesting now because yes, you don't have the first mover like the Auroras have, and they're running with that in certain ways. It costs them a lot to get there, but there's a whole pack of people that I think these newer entrants, if run well, can just leapfrog over them very quickly.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting. Are you going to be, I guess a ticker hasn't been created just
the
yet?
The ticker's YOLO, YOLO. You only live once.
I'll remember that.
Yeah, so we're hoping hopefully by the end of the month.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the exchange to call, but everything on our side has been submitted, so.
Well, very excited about that. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much
I can imagine when you do start coming in, you do go public, there's lots of publicity there. We'd love to continue to hear your story. We'd love to have you back on. I appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, bye.
And we're back again. Someone different in front of me each time. I guess you only get a little bit of me, and then you get too annoyed, you just run away.
Yeah, we'll kick you out eventually.
Okay, the next time I'm going to come in here, it'll be you and Greg, and I'll be somewhere else, enjoying some coffee in the back or something
take a vacation,
like that.
dude.
Yeah. But
how much time we got here?
We've got a few minutes. We've got about 5 minutes. 5 minutes left. And on that note, because I was just talking with Greg before that, it was the second mover advantage. We were talking about You know, these first movers like Aurora, Cannabis, whatever it be, Aurora Cannabis, Aurora, Canopy, Freya, people who've been around from the very, very, very beginning, how they had to spend so much money on research and development and building and failures and all these different things, whereas these other companies who kind of have the know-how now come in with a fraction of the money spent and have quality companies that can compete with the middle tier.
They're not going to get the market share.
No. The first movers are still first movers, but those who were there earlier and spent all the money diligently, but they're not there yet. And they are still where these guys can come in within a couple of months. These guys are already competitive with them. Those people who just came in have a way bigger advantage over the other people. Not first movers though, but that's what we were talking about.
You're like a cannabis only guy now, eh?
Cannabis only.
Yeah.
I like the cannabis.
Yeah.
I was always cannabis. I like cannabis more because I understand it more. I can see where the market's going.
You know what? That is. Oh, it's probably really loud on the microphone.
I was like, are you seeing if you worked out today?
Let's say I cleared my throat already and I folded my hands.
Nice.
But you know what? That is one. You bring up a good point. That is one thing that I get a little frustrating with mining. And you know, my Garibaldi position is that when the news release comes out, I'm like, is this good or bad? You know what I mean? Because they have little tricks where they can smear and just do different stuff, right? It's a little, companies could be deceiving, and I'm definitely not educated enough to be able to read that news release and, you know what I mean, like understand it properly. Yeah. So sometimes I question why I'm in that space, to be honest with you, but I'm lucky that we're surrounded by enough people that, you know, I can catch on quick.
Well, it's funny too because, I mean, you just downplayed your knowledge of it. You actually have a pretty damn good knowledge of what's going on. But it's funny, when you start going into the actual news releases, they're very, very technical. Very, very, very technical. And people who've been around mining for a very long time or have a geo background, something like that, can see something right away and just be like, okay, that's good, or oh, okay, that's not bad, that's not good. But the crazy part is, you can have good results, and you can have maybe not what the market's necessarily looking for, but something that's along the lines of equivalent that's actually like, wow, you should be way more excited about this. But the rest of the market simply doesn't fully understand. Well, and then they go by emotion or fear, and that's how certain things, or excitement, another way.
Look at RNX, for example. That was dropped in our chat room. I believe it was 13 or 14 cents when they found those big gold boulders. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's had an epic run. It's pretty cool. But aside from that, when a lot of the mining NRs come out in our chat rooms, I'm like, is this good or bad? Like, I don't know right away. I got to ask someone. And there are tools, you know, there's charts that we have in our chat rooms and stuff where you can look at it and be like, yeah, those are good grades and whatever, right? But I just don't feel that comfortable with it. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And then I think about cannabis. I'm like, yeah, you know, I can understand that market a lot easier. I know it more, et cetera, et cetera. So
it's business. Cannabis is a business. You know, it's funny. So many people. I'm amazed by people who still have this stigma around cannabis. It's a food. It's a plant that you can use for building with. It's a medicine. It's all of the different aspects. Although cannabis itself is unknown, the things that it can be replacing and being used for are not unknown. That's why it makes sense, even though the valuations do not make sense, if that makes sense.
Does it?
No, I love it though. I like it because for me personally, I can get a really good understanding of the sector, and I can really easily tell a good company from a bad just really quickly. Like, oh, you know what? I haven't heard someone doing that yet.
Yeah.
So different areas that there. But we're running out of time. You're checking your time. We're talking about.
What are you doing Friday?
Friday at 10 a.m. We will be down in Toronto.
Wait a second. 10 a.m. You got to get there early.
I'll be there at 9 a.m.
That means you gotta leave at like 6.
For the block play AGM meeting.
Yeah.
Hashtag all shares matter. Hashtag fuck off. Hashtag or $sign.
Yeah.
PLAY.
I'm gonna have some fun when I'm there, man. I'm gonna have some fun when I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's how else are you gonna get your money back? It's one of those things, right? There's a lot of good plays there. There's a lot of good.
I hope it's got that really
situations.
I hope it's got like a corporate feel to it, because I can't wait to just smash it.
And isn't it interesting?
I'm gonna be like, this feels corporate.
We've spoken to a lot of different people, and just the count that we've been doing going into it, there's over 50 million shares going into something like this that's able to see something. It's just interesting when you start seeing counts and start seeing what's going on. Who knows if those numbers are correct, but it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because I really do hope, I mean, I've got money in it, you've got money in it, we both have quite considerable money in it. I'd love to have some question periods, some Q&As.
I don't care for that.
When we get down there.
I just want to.
And we'll see what kind of answers we get.
Yeah, I'm just going to have fun. I'll leave it there. I don't know anything about share counts or anything like that, but I look forward to seeing some of the people that are down there, you know, asking or looking for people to vote for the current regime. Mm-hmm. I probably am going to have some things to say about that. Just, I don't think I'll even have questions. It'll just be like statements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
So yeah, I'll be there.
It'll be interesting. Well,
take off work, come down, hang out.
Yes, if you are there in our group, by all means,
bring some rice. We'll throw rice. Isn't that
rice?
Yeah,
break some plates.
Rice. They do that at like Greek weddings or something.
But we got to switch over. We got to get
no, we don't.
Sir James and Ed into these seats. They're gonna love these if they keep them here. It's gonna change their world.
These seats, I don't know how they look on the camera.
Yeah.
But they're way more comfortable.
Yeah.
I'm just chilling right now, man. I don't want to leave.
No, absolutely. Well, we're going to leave it at that then. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll see you again next week as well.
Cheers.
To all of our guests, thank you. Bye for now.